We're back, and this will be the second battle of Nindriniai. So the German advance towards Gudaliz failed, was repulsed by the Russians, and the Russians have counterattacked. So they've counterattacked back on the last German position, which they took at Nindriniai, and this is the map. So the Germans are on the far side, behind the woods. Russians are advancing from the two houses and the tree line on the far side. Okay, the objectives. In order to win, the Russians need to secure 4 of the houses. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a 5th house over there. So if the Russians control 4 out of the 5 houses, they'll win the match. Anything less, and the Germans will win. Okay, so this will take us into the first turn. We'll have to see if the Germans can hold on, or if the Russians can thwart their advance, maybe counterattack further back into the German lines. Alright, I'll take us to turn 1. Okay, so it's into turn 1. Both sides have sort of rolled onto the field. The Russians have pushed up the regular infantry squad of 8 men and the T-34 on the far flank. Germans have occupied the house with a 10-man LMG squad and an air observer. In the centre, Russians have moved up with a 12-man squad and an officer. That's sort of a militia squad. Mortar has moved up and fired a smoke round at the armoured car, which has missed. Germans have pushed it into the woods. Germans have put a Panzerschreck team up behind the armoured car, also pushed the armoured car into the woods. Also occupied the house with a medium machine gun. So it's sort of defending that particular centre part. German infantry has pushed up into the woods, 2 squads of pioneers and a squad of regulars looking to move into the wood line in the centre. Also another unit of infantry with an LMG is in the far building. Russians are pushed up with a Consulate's armoured tractor with a 6-man engineer squad in that, and also with their armoured car. Also a unit of regular infantry is moving up the flank. So it's a bit of a rush for the woods at the moment. Germans are occupying a pretty strong position at Nindriniai, and we'll see if they'll be able to hang on to it. Okay, so it's the end of turn 1. Okay, so the Russians have pushed up all across the map. This is the end of turn 2, by the way. So you can see the tank has moved up, supported by the infantry. Truck has moved up as well in the centre, supported by more infantry. Mortar has fired a smoke round at the armoured car. Armoured car has used its recce rule to reverse 1 inch away, thus putting it out of range. Consulates is hugging the forest. It's full of assault engineers. Armoured car has sort of moved up in support, and this far squad has also moved up. So, sort of the Russian advance. Germans have reacted, pushing more troops into the woods. They've dropped an airstrike on the tank, so we're going to resolve that in a moment. And let's see, what else? It's more or less it. The armoured car fired a shot at the militia and dropped one of them basically, but that didn't stop them moving forward. The tank was put in ambush for most of the turn. So that prevented my armoured car from moving out and taking some shots at the Consulates or the other armoured car, so I sort of had to stay back behind the woods. As you can see, the Russians just being a bit sneaky, sort of parking Consulates near the woods but not actually disembarking the engineers, moving up the truck at the end of the turn after all the other units have moved, sort of avoiding any fire. Trying to use the cover of the barn. So we'll see how we go. Also in the woods here, because the engineers were in the consulate, decided to try and make some moves to try and prevent them from jumping into the woods this turn. So I put this squad in ambush, and then I moved up the other two within a sort of a charge range, but the engineers haven't disembarked. So lots of ambush orders in this match, bit of recce ruling, some shenanigans, but not too many yet. So far a good turn for the Russians. They've been able to get across the field without too many casualties, and the Germans have only suffered a casualty too. Russians are slightly in the lead with total points lost because I've lost a veteran unit 2-5 from the armoured car, whereas they've only lost a militia unit. Alright, that takes us to the airstrike. Okay, so it's end of turn 3. So as you can see, the Russians have pushed up. Tank is crushing the fence. Also got Russian infantry in the barn supporting the tank. Russian truck has driven up alongside the house, and that's full of assault troops, so they're about to enter the building. Russian militia have pushed up, supported by a jeep and an officer. Russian consulate's armoured tractor is driven around, tried to kill the Panzerschreck, missed. Panzerschreck fired and didn't miss, and blew it up. 2 of the engineers were killed in the explosion. Germans have then followed up, fired a lot more shots at the engineer unit, killed another 1. So they're down to 3 guys. Germans are sort of pushing up around the centre. In the woods, tried to move up, tried to flame the armoured car. Armoured car used the recce rule to pull back. And the Germans are in the woods now. They only have 2 pins, not 4. And Russians in the woods have been firing more shots at the Germans also in the woods. So that is turn 4. The airstrike didn't turn up, so the tank's been able to do its thing, although we're going to have to roll again for that this turn, and also for the smoke, which I forgot to mention, which has been dropped in the centre. So that moved forward 6 inches, and may still keep moving depending on the rolls. So that's the end of turn 3, takes us into turn 4. Okay, so it's into turn 4. The Russians have assaulted the far building, taken out the air observer and the German Heer squad that was occupying it. Tank has moved up, taken a shot at the Panzerschreck team and blown that up. Russian infantry has moved out of the woods, taken down 3 Germans. MG squad has fired at the Russian militia, it's killed 2 of them. Russian engineers in the woods have been destroyed. Russians have laid smoke into the woods to try and obscure the militia from my engineers. German infantry have pulled out of the woods. They passed a series of pin tests to do that. So they've run back there. They took another casualty though in the process. These guys are in ambush, just keeping an eye out for the Russians on the flank there. Armoured car took a shot at the Germans in the wood as well. Can't remember what it did. But basically the squad's taken a couple of casualties, so it's run back out now. And the airstrike came in and blew up my own armoured car because I rolled a 1. I think there's a bit of a trend going on there with armoured cars and airstrikes hitting them. And yeah, and that was the turn. Russian mortar also pushed up. And Russian truck has also pushed up, or jeep with MMG. So that has been the Russian turn. Alrighty, takes us into turn 5. Okay, so it's into turn 5. Russians have pushed up. They attempted an assault on the centre house, however unfortunately got mowed down by MMG fire from the house and also from a squad that was in ambush in the centre. German units in the centre have gone down. They've come under fire from the Russians. Russians in the woods have pushed up. Germans haven't been able to fire back at them because they failed their pinning test. And Russian cars in the centre have moved up, taken more shots at the unit in the centre there. Mortar team is out in the centre, took a shot and missed. That's basically turn 5, so the Russians are closing in. Bit of a repulse there though, for the first wave of them. And the Germans are holding fast still. This turn will decide a few things. Alright, last turn. And that's basically the start of turn 6. And I've conceded. The German pioneers have tried to pass their auto test, which they have. They've taken some shots at the truck full of veterans, and they've not been able to blow it up. Which means that the Russians would have been able to stack enough stuff onto the last point to capture it, because they still had the armoured car, they had the tank, they had the infantry, they had the veterans still, and that's more points than what I've got there. So GG, defended the 1 point. Bit of a shame, I was sort of expecting Germans to do a bit better, but yeah, say la guerre, such is life. And such is war. So that's the end of turn 6. The Russians are on a roll. They've reconquered back Nindriniai now, and that means they get to attack again. So that means that they'll be attacking the city of Vilkaviskas next. Alrighty, see you in the next game.